What's up, everybody? Eric here with another EWE reviews. So today I'm going to be talking about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I want to say that's the name of the movie. Before we get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you want me to review next. But yeah, happy holidays, guys. This is my first review after Christmas. I think the last thing I did was Godzilla -1. I have a couple reviews I still need to do, but spent some time with my family and took some much needed rest this time. So it wasn't me recovering for something, just rest. So yeah, so let's get started with this. So this is the last DCEU film. I'll talk about that a little bit in my thoughts. This is a spoiler-free review, guys. But yeah, I'm recording this on December 26, 2023, so there'll be some info box office that I'll talk about right now. But yeah, this is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is a superhero film that's PG-13 that released on December 22nd, 2023. With a budget of $215 million estimated. And it only has a box office of $128.4 million as of December 26, 2023. More than likely, this movie's gonna bump. The director of this film is James Wan. The cast includes Jason Momoa, Patrick Wilson, Amber Heard, a little bit more on her in a little bit, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Randall Park, and Nicole Kidman. The runtime of this film is 124 minutes, and I watched this in Dolby format. There is a little thing at like the start of the credits, I guess you call it mid-credits scene, so don't go away right away, but it's not something that's involved too much. It's just like a little gag thing. Alright, so the plot is that, and I just stole this straight from somewhere else. Black Manta seeks revenge on Aquaman for his father's death. Wielding the Black Triton power, he becomes a formidable foe. To defend Atlantis, Aquaman forges an alliance with his imprisoned brother. They must protect the kingdom. That's the basic plot of the film, and there's a lot in this film. I'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, that's the basic plot. So let's go into my thoughts, and before I do the good and the bad, let me talk a little bit about the DCEU. Now, I will be the first to admit DCEU has been a total failure. They just didn't get it right. They rushed in to try and get Justice League, and instead of building up their characters the right way, they kind of just rushed everything. In my opinion, that's the reason that this failed. They didn't do a phase 1. And that would have been probably what would have helped this out so much, is that you start with something like Marvel did with phase 1, and you get everyone acclimated to these characters, these versions of these characters, and then you eventually bring them together. This franchise didn't want to do that. They just wanted to rush right into it, and that screwed things up. So now let's talk about how this affected Aquaman 2. This is the last film in the series. Everyone knows it's the last film in the series, and that I think it's James Gunn is starting from scratch with Superman Legacy. Although I think Blue Beetle might still be part of it. I'm not sure. I gotta double check that. However, with Aquaman, that means everyone coming into this movie knows this movie's not going to get a sequel. This is the last thing in that universe. Let's see what they can do. But at the same time, that also means if you don't want to watch it, who cares? There's not going to be any ramifications for missing this film. So I think that hurt the box office. Another thing that probably hurt it, Amber Heard's involvement. To me, this is another Ezra Miller situation where you have to separate the art from the artist, but that's really hard when the artist did something really, really bad. And it's just like, I don't know if I know for me, I wasn't sure she was in the movie or not. And then when I saw the film, I was like, oh, she's in it. And she's in it quite a bit. So I was just like, this kind of feels weird. But you can also tell they kind of took scenes out that it seemed like she was probably going to be part of. They probably took it out. But there's a lot in this film where you just can't take her character out without having to like reshoot so much. So I can see why they didn't do it. But yeah, this movie, I felt bad for it because like I actually did like Jason Momoa, this version of Arthur Curry, but that's the end of this one. I can see that we're gonna probably go back to something like this version of Arthur Curry probably at some point. Another blonde white guy being Aquaman. That's probably what they're gonna go to. Even though I like this version of it, I thought it was really good. But yeah, it's sad to see it go. But the DCEU just wasn't great. Let's just admit it. So let's actually now go into my bad thoughts of this movie. So the movie never feels like it exactly knows what it's trying to be. Like at times it's like a brother story, at times like different stories, and there's so many things going there, and I'm just like, I don't know what exactly you're trying to do too much in one movie, and I know that they didn't know that they were gonna get canceled when they first made this. So for all I know, it's like, oh, they could have, when they first made this, they could have separated into 2 movies, done things that way. But no, they squished it all together, and it just feels out of whack to me. I could follow the plot, but it was just like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And it just felt like a clash of style too many times. I didn't really know what they wanted, and that even goes with some of the characters. So like, and sadly for Jason Momoa, this isn't the first time it happened this year. His character was very like, his version of Arthur is very silly, making jokes out of bad moments and stuff like that. While Black Manta is very serious, wants to like get revenge, and I just felt like, and they weren't together too much that it's like, oh, well, they're doing their own separate things. It's like, you have a serious part of the movie and you have like a very joking part of the movie. And it's like, it didn't work for me. I thought like, no, you should have like, it's one thing when it's like, he's only like that when like they're fighting, but it wasn't just when they were fighting, like they were just like that the entire film. It's like, this just didn't work for me. It felt out of whack. Also, they marketed this movie very badly. There's something that happens like early in the film. I want to say like first 5 minutes. That's not in the trailers, but it's a big deal. And it's just like, you should have said that beforehand. The fact that we find that, like, it's a cool surprise at first, but when you realize like this is a big part of the film, it's like, you should have marketed the film this way, because not knowing, now it's a very different film when you're there. And like I said, Amber Heard's involvement made me feel weird. I was just like, oh, this just didn't work for me. And this was filmed prior to the trial from what I remember. So it's like, I felt bad because this is not even her after the trial. This is like what she did beforehand. But it was just like, it is what it is. And then the villain's plan, and this happens with so many superhero movies and shows, it's just like, the plan was so convoluted. I'm like, I could have figured out an easier way to do this than the villain did. Especially when we're talking about we're in the DC universe. Like, I'm sure there was an easier way for the villain to get what he wanted. But the fact that they made it, like, they made this stuff so complicated, it didn't make any sense to me. And then the idea of the Lost Kingdom, I was very surprised how much of the movie you go through before they explain what the Lost Kingdom is. And it was very sad. It's like, oh, this is your last DC movie, and you guys use this title, and you don't really do much with the title. It's like, all right, whatever. All right, so let's actually move on to the good. There's not much of it, but there's some of it. I enjoyed the action sequences. It's different, but I think it's because it's similar to doing something in space, but you're doing it underwater, and I thought that actually helped that out a little bit. And I thought the family theme of the movie was nice. They did like a lot of family stuff. I can't really go into much of it right now because it's spoiler stuff, but I did like what they did there. It did give me some feelings, so that was nice. And they had good world building. We saw things that we didn't see in the first film that I was like, oh, I wish you guys would have spent more time on this. And it looked really cool. You got to see different races and things like that inside of different locations. And it was like, oh, I really would have liked to see more of this, but they didn't do it. And although Jason Momoa's version of the character, I feel like more like joking, more like a Spider-Man type, I really did enjoy his, like, this is his last time doing it. And I felt like he probably had a feeling it was gonna be, but he had fun. You could tell, like, it was just like, he was just like, you know what, screw it, I'm a superhero, I'm gonna have fun doing this. I feel like he's the perfect guy to play Lobo, though, in James Gunn's DC universe. So that was, I felt like he did, like, for his send-off, I thought he did a really fun job, and I thought it looked like he was having fun doing it. So that's always cool. So let's actually move on to my score, guys. And I've been wrestling with this score for a while. At first, I was just like, the movie's okay. But then when I was really thinking about it, I was like, no, this is mediocre. This is something like I'm never going to watch again, and I can't really recommend. Like, if something's okay, I think I could recommend people to go watch it. This, I didn't even think was okay. I honestly think, although I enjoyed it, it's mediocre at best. So I gave this a 5 out of 10 mediocre. I don't recommend you watch it. There's really no point to watch it. So those are my thoughts on the film, guys. So let's actually talk about what I'm going to review next. Believe it or not, that is not the worst thing I saw this past weekend. So I'm also going to be doing a review for Rebel Moon. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't know what the hell I watch with Rebel Moon. Everyone's saying, like, at the start, like, oh, this is going to be Zack Snyder's Star Wars. I don't know what about it is Star Wars because I don't know what the hell that was. And I'm still going to do those other reviews I talked about in my last video. Don't worry, those are coming. But I just had to have two reviews jumped the line. One's Rebel Moon, and the other one is South Park, not suitable for children, because that just came out of nowhere, and I freaking loved it. Because it's South Park, but I'll have that review out as well. I'm gonna try and get them out. So I'm getting this out on Wednesday. I'll try to have Rebel Moon Thursday and South Park Friday. That's my plan right now. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys thought about the film if you saw it. Am I being too harsh? I feel like I might be being a bit too harsh, but it's kind of like DCEU. Really? You guys were already not doing so great, and you took out this? It's like, I'm kind of happy that the universe is going away because it just didn't work. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.